All right, here we are, Saturday, November 22nd. Warm here today. Whew, it was even warm last night. Never even got cold. It feels good, and but I like the cold a little bit too. So I like the mixture. Anyway, what got done today? Let's take a look. Let's go in here, and I got the door completely screwed into place. Everything's plumb and level. It opens nicely. Yeah, I'll show you. It's swings, stays where you put it. So close it. So all I have to do really is put the handle in, and then the deadbolt I have, as I mentioned, and the jig to install the deadbolt, where it's basically a guide to drill a second hole in the door through the metal. Gives you a hole saw, and you can kind of place it anywhere up and down you like, but it gives you the exact positioning on, from the edge of the door in, where to place the hole. So it just makes it a lot easier. So I'll probably be doing that the next day or two. And then I got this blocking in place over here with this new 2x6. Oop, I'm gonna kill myself. All across here. That's all screwed into place. So theoretically, the whole wall is locked together at this point. So I should be kind of good to go to install doors. But, there might be a little tweaking here and there. And then I laid out the measurements for the aluminum that's going to be up here above the door and then come down on this pier on the outside. Again, that's just going to get painted with the Southern Peach. So this is the piece for over the door, and actually these are two pieces. They'll overlap on the pier coming down. So they have to be sanded. The edges have to be sanded to make them not razor sharp. And then these I think are almost good to go for painting. Might just do a real quick sanding. This one on the other side, it's got some nastiness that's going to have the paint remover put on there and scraped off. So, you've seen all that loveliness before, so I'm going to have to go through that. Let's take a look at it real quick. Yeah, it's not quite as bad as some of the other ones, but yeah, it's going to have to be sanded and stripped. So anyway, at least these are cut, and yeah, I did have to spend a good hour and a half cleaning up. I mean, there was a lot of cutting to do, and it made a huge pile of those small aluminum chips. And I swear to God, you look at the floor, I've swept it twice, and it looks clean, but then when you get down close, it's like, oh my God, there's a million more of these little particles. You can't even see them from standing up, but when you get close to the ground, they're there. So I'll have to keep sweeping a little bit more. And then some other things came, like these eye bolts and the extension nuts to hold this wire, so I can get this finished up coming down here for the gooseneck lights. I'll probably get just a little light timer, plug it into the outlet, and then plug in this to that, and they'll maybe come on at 6 o'clock and then go off at 9:30, something like that. And I'll probably do the same thing for the front lights. So really, it's just a little converter here. You can kind of see it hiding over here in the corner behind these steps. That's what it is. That's what's going to power the front lights. And there's two of them. So each side will get a little converter, and I'll put them on a timer as well. All right. Well, not the most productive day, but yeah, I'm kind of glad to have a couple of these things done and out of the way. So that was my Saturday. Tomorrow, since I didn't go into town today, I'll go into town tomorrow and get the stuff that I need, and then we'll hit it again on Monday. All right, talk to you later. All right, it is Sunday, November 23rd, and I wanted to get a few things done before I head into town. It's early afternoon. I think I hit that point. I got what I wanted done, so let's just take a quick look at that, and then I'll be heading off into town. All right, so this front door here, I got it caulked all the way around on the inside. So all the way up, and bring this back here. There we go, yeah. So everything's caulked on the inside, and when I do put the trim on the outside of the door, I'll also caulk it from the outside just to seal it from both sides. And then my real workout this morning was to sand all of the edges of these 3 aluminum pieces and then sand the surface as well. I mean, these 2 were not too bad. They went pretty quickly, but I did completely sand them with the vibratory sander, so it was a smooth surface. Actually, I'm thinking that using the vibratory sander on the surface may actually help the paint stick, because it puts a lot of like micro scrapes into the surface, which will allow the paint to adhere much better than just having a completely smooth piece of aluminum. So we'll see how that works out. And this piece, I think you saw it the other day. It was a mess. I had to go through 2 full coats of the paint stripper and a lot of scraping to get maybe like 90% of that paint off. Then I cleaned it up with water, hosed it off, wiped it down, and then with the vibratory sander, I was able to get, like 99.9% of all the rest of that old paint off of there. And then I got just a single coat of the Southern Peach on both of these right now. So that's what I wanted to really achieve before heading into town today, because I can come back, these will be dry or almost dry, ready for a second coat, and that doesn't take very long. And then tomorrow I'll put a 3rd coat on there, and by the end of the day they'll be ready to install. And I also just put a little bit of caulk on the tops of these light bars. I think I forgot to do it on some of the taller ones, the big ones and the medium-sized one. The small ones had it already on there. So that'll dry clear. It looks white, but it'll dry clear, and that should really protect the top from water damage, because there is a seal all the way along here, and water, it'll get into anywhere you allow it to. So that should really help prevent water seeping into the seal between the 2 clamshell halves, I guess I'll call it. Anyway, so I accomplished my goal for Sunday morning. I may come back, I'll put another coat of paint on these, and maybe if I have time, I'll put the handle in, the key handle for the door. We'll see. We'll see if I got light left, or if I can just do it with the light in here. So that's it for Sunday, and I'll talk to you on Monday. All right, it is Monday, end of day, and let me just cover quickly what I got done. Only 2 things really, but I'm glad to have them done. All right, let's take a look. All right, so I've got this wire coming from the gooseneck lights strung all the way along the ceiling. I made up 3 more of these little brackets with the eye bolts at the end, strung the wire, brought it all the way down, and put a little plug on the bottom. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so it can just be plugged into an outlet at this point. I need to energize this outlet, and then I'll put a little light timer on it, like I said before, so I can have them come on at roughly 6 and then go off at maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. Simple enough. All right. The other thing I got done, which was way more work intensive than I thought, was putting the 3 sheets of aluminum on this front section here. So it's done. Everything is completely caulked and nailed into place. I actually used the nails with the neoprene washer, not the stainless steel screws. So part of this was my fault. When I put on this top sheet, I put it behind this piece here, and it really needs to go in front of it so water, boom, drops off like shingles. So I kind of screwed up there. So I had to redo it, and that took a little bit of time. But I think it looks pretty good. I got everything done there, and honestly, that was enough for my Monday. So looking forward to Tuesday. Talk to you then. Alrighty, it is Tuesday, November 25th, late afternoon. Kind of doing a early update today, but got something interesting done today. So let's take a look at it. Let me walk over here before I flip the camera around. All right, here we go. Ready? The light bars have been installed. Doesn't mean they're hooked up, but they are permanently bolted to the front wall there. And any individual one I can plug in, but I need to wire them in series. So that's going to take another couple hours. Probably not do that today because I got some other things I want to get done. But I think it looks good. I mean, I think it adds a little bit of something to the front of the Quonset hut. Now remember, the door here will get trimmed with red, just like the light bars, and this whole opening will get trimmed in red as well. And I'm thinking of doing like a red base along the bottom here. So that'll come eventually. I have some wood for this trim, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not. I really wanted to go with like some rough sawn cedar, but I didn't see any at Lowe's. I may check one of the other lumber yards around here, see if they have some. I'm okay with it if I have to rip it down, but I just didn't see any at Lowe's. Anyway, the other thing I did the other night was, it was Sunday night, I think. Yeah, I got the handle installed on the door, and it was the first time I actually came down after dark and worked in the Quonset hut. So it was like a real shop, you know. I've got a door now, so I got a real shop. And the handle's nice. It all went on pretty much exactly as the instructions said to do. So go back here. How do I? Okay. Yeah, and it looks nice. But I was a little disappointed in one thing. Let me go in here and show you. Turn on the lights. All right, so this is the inside. It does have a key to lock it from the outside, or you can lock it from the inside and just shut it, and it locks it, which means you need the key to get back in, or just lift the tarp at the moment. But this handle here, there's a little like set screw on this side. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's go around here. Yeah, there you go. That set screw, basically you back it out so that it goes into a hole in this handle piece, and that keeps it locked into place. The only thing I didn't like was, like, look at this. It's got a lot of wiggle to it. I'm like, that's not ideal. But I mean, seriously, that's a lot of wiggle. And that screw is perfectly aligned with the hole. So there's not much more I can do about it, I don't think. Anyway, so that was the thing that I was like a little disappointed with. All right, well, I think that's all I got done today. So yeah, I'm gonna probably do a little bit of painting of the trim, see how that looks, and decide whether I'm going to use it or not. And yeah, well, that's it for today, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday. All right, it is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Not a whole lot going on today. Just trying to get a few little minor tests done. Just kind of grunt work, but it's got to get done. So let's take a quick look. Let's go in here and turn the lights on. All right, so yesterday I got this trim cut down to 2¼ inches wide. This is going to be for around the man door, but I needed to also route out a little bit on the back side that will go over where the nails are. Let me go outside, we'll take a look at that, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. Actually, you know what? Let me grab this one other piece. I'll show you how it fits on. So this smaller piece is for over the door, over the top, and it's got the same routed section on it. And so it kind of like fits over the nails, so it fits up tight against the building, and it doesn't interfere with the nails. So, see if I can, yeah, so it goes right over there like that. And this will go on the top there, so it's got a little bit of a bevel to the top, and I'll caulk it so if we do get driving rain coming towards the front of the building, it will run off. All right, so I've got one full coat on these 3 pieces. I'm going to need, oh, by the way, this lumber here is, why won't this zoom out? Yeah, this lumber here is somehow slightly pressure treated. It's supposedly called severe weather, but it's not like treated lumber like this 4x4 post. So it does have some treated properties to it, but I'm going to also paint it, obviously. Needs one more coat, and then I can put it up around the door. But I need, these were 8-foot pieces. I need 10-foot pieces to go around the carriage doors, and those will also be a little bit wider. These have been cut down to 2¼ which is your typical width of a brick mold around a door, but I'm going to go with a full 3 inches around the carriage doors, and these started out at 3½ inches, same as like a 2x4. So this will be 2¼ and the ones around the carriage doors will be 3 inches wide. And I'm going to have to do the same thing, route the back for all the nails around the edges of the carriage doors. All right, what else? I have been reassembling some of the light switches or lighting that I had to take down when I was doing some internal cleaning with the power washer. So now I've got this little converter into its own little outlet, and it hooks up directly to the other one on the other side here. So these lights now work again inside here, and they're permanently wired into place. Plus I've got the wiring for the outdoor bar lights, or the front mounted bar lights. So there's the little converter for the bar lights, and it just plugs into this little outlet here. So this one powers the 3 vertical bar lights on the southern side, and then there's another one over here. This is the little converter. It plugs into this outlet. There's actually going to be another outlet here with three outlets, just because I'm running out. But it plugs into any outlet, and it powers the 3 vertical bar lights on the northern side. So, all right, well, that's one more task out of the way, and I am probably going to start laying out the actual physical carriage doors for this section here tomorrow, because I'm almost there, almost ready. So this should be exciting. I think this is going to be a really interesting, neat little project. Hopefully I can do it in less than 2 weeks. That's my goal. Get both doors constructed and hung within 2 weeks. So I think that's just about right. Anyway, I will talk to you Friday. All right, it is Friday, November 28th. Chilly day here, but it feels good. And I think I made some pretty good progress today. Like I said, I was going to start on the carriage doors, but I did tackle one little task before doing that, or actually I'm jumping back and forth between the two, but this one is done now. So let me flip around. And okay, so I got the trim on the man door. This is the trim that I cut down to 2¼ inches, and that's the typical width of a brick mold for a door like this on the exterior wall. It went on pretty nicely. I caulked behind it, I caulked underneath it, I caulked above it. I caulked the hell out of it. So yeah, I mean, a couple of these white spots, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but that's clear caulk. Goes on white, it'll dry clear. So it's it'll be completely invisible once it dries. So let's go inside and take a look at what I got done for the actual carriage door. All right, let's see, I can't back this up. No, I guess not. All right, so this is the layout of the first carriage door. On the back side is a 2x8. I'm using a 2x8 as like a big massive spine along the back side of the door. I had purchased these weeks ago because I saw that they had some pretty nice ones. Unfortunately, the other one that I have of these has developed a little bit of a twist in it. I don't know if I'll be able to use it or not. I may go and look for another one. This one stayed nice and flat, so I think, you know, we're perfectly good to go with this one. So we got the 2x8 on the back, and then along the bottom, this is the bottom, I've got a 2x6, and then the outside of the door is a 2x4, and then a 2x4 along the top. Now, the door will actually be in two parts. So you got this section here, and then there will be another section up here. I'll build it separately. It'll be 17 inches tall, and it'll have 12-inch windows across the top. And when I get it done, I will just screw it to the top of this piece, and it'll basically become one door. But all the hinges will be on this back side of the bottom frame. So it'll be a hinge here, hinge here, hinge here, and no hinge up here at the top section where the windows are. And what I've had to do is cut down the framing lumber from about 3½ inches for a regular 2x4 to 3¼ because I'm trying to get something a little bit more accurate than just plain old framing lumber. So I'm putting it through the table saw and getting like a nice edge on it. You can see it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's much sharper on this edge and much flatter than a normal 2x4 that you pull off the shelf at Lowe's or Home Depot. And here I've started it. I'm going to use half lap joints all the way around, you know, all the way around the door. So I'm starting the half lap on the miter saw so I can get a nice sharp edge here and give me a little space like here, and then at the side or at the end. And then I'll finish cutting the rest of this out with the router. The router, you know, it's kind of a, I don't know, a tool that's, depending on your jig that you have set up, it's either sort of just rough cutting or it can be a little bit more accurate. But yeah, if I've got this little edge here that I've started on the miter saw and then I just cut out the rest of this with the router, I think I should be fine. So I got to do that all the way around. I've started all the half lap joints on the miter saw. So that's all done. Now I just have to cut out the rest of it with the router. And I'm going to also cut out some pieces of aluminum. This was an old piece, just was on one of the old doors that was hanging in the Quonset out here. I'm not going to use this, but I'm just using it to sort of lay out the size I'm gonna make for the aluminum pieces. So I'll put corner aluminums on all four corners just to help stiffen it up. And then this center cross brace, this is the compression member. So this will it'll get cut in here so it fits from this corner all the way up to that corner. And all the weight will come down onto this hinge over here. So this is the compression side of the door. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to cut this. I need to cut it so that I can screw it into the spine of the door and or keep it from sliding down. I might put like a block at the bottom or cut it such that there's a little bit of a lip here that sits on something so that it never comes down, because I don't want it to slip down. That's the whole point, to keep the compression upwards. So that's the compression member. And then you can see on the floor here, I've got some all thread. There's like 2 3-foot pieces. There's one here, and then there's a turnbuckle down here, which I will mount to the bottom member and up there on the top of the spine. And this will be the tension member. And the turnbuckle will prevent it from sagging down, or prevent this from sagging down this way. And if it ever does start to sag, I can always there'll be a little hatch here that I can open up, unscrew, and then turn the turnbuckle to tighten it up, and it'll just pull it up ever so slightly to get it back into place. Because, wood, it shrinks, it grows, it shifts a little bit over time. So you need a little bit of wiggle room to be able to, make fine adjustments. So this tension member will allow me to do that. And that's basically the whole frame of the door. And then what I'll do is I will cover the top of it with a piece of 1/8-inch plywood. They call it Luan, Luan. I'm not sure what that stands for. Maybe it's an acronym. I'm not sure. But I'll get a whole sheet of that over the top here on both sides, and that'll basically stiffen it up even more. And then finally, to just decorate it a little bit, I'll put some trim around the outside. And normally carriage doors have this like member. It's like the compression member, but it's just decorative on the outside. So I'll probably put one like this right up the middle. Just to carry over the design feature of typical carriage doors. So I made some pretty good progress on this so far. It's gone a lot faster than I actually anticipated, but you know how it goes. I mean, it starts fast and then you start to get bogged down into the details, and that's where the time is actually spent. All right, well, that's it for Friday. That wraps up the week, and I'll be continuing to work on this over the weekend, and hopefully I'll be able to show you maybe even an installed door sometime next week. All right, that's it. Take care. Okay, just a little bonus material today at the end of the week. Somebody was asking me about how the lights look in the dark or in the twilight, so I'm going to show you. All right, there are the bar lights lit up on the front, and I have ordered another gooseneck light for right above the door. It's a little smaller than the ones in the back, and instead of the box that I put that I mounted on the wall and then mounted the gooseneck lights too. I'm going to do like a circle in red and mount it right above that door. Should look nice. Anyway, that's the bonus material. Talk to you next week.